Corporate politics does not punish incompetence. It punishes, with surprising precision, the people who believe good work will defend itself. If you do not understand that, you will keep looking for the mistake in yourself, in your attitude, in the way you communicate, in some decision you made that, over time, convinced you it was your fault. It was not. What happens to an intelligent person inside a company is this: they work seriously, deliver real results, solve problems before they become crises, and still, when promotion time comes, their name does not come up. Someone else does. Someone who produces less, makes more mistakes, and has been there for less time. What remains is not just a sense of unfairness. It is confusion, because you did everything right, and nothing worked the way it was supposed to. But it did work. It worked exactly as designed. The problem is that nobody explained the design. There is a system running parallel to visible work inside every company. It has different rules. It has its own economy of power. It does not appear in any handbook or performance review. That system does not wait for you to decide whether you want to enter it. It is already operating. The only variable is whether you learn to read it or keep ignoring it. The first lie you were told about work is this: if you do your job well, your work will speak for itself. That idea works up to a point. Up to the point where something real is at stake. An open role, a reorganization, a decision made in conversations that happen outside official channels. What is not in the mind of the person making the decision does not exist, not because it is not good, because it was not seen by the right people, at the right moment. Your work produces results. Your reputation produces decisions. Results live in systems, reports, and metrics. Reputation lives in the perception of people with power. And it is perception, not the metric, that decides who moves forward. Organizations are not merit systems. They are social systems with a layer of merit on top. And here is the most expensive mistake intelligent people make: believing the system wants to reward merit. It does not. The system wants to avoid disruption. It wants predictable pieces in familiar places. Merit is welcome only as long as it does not disturb the existing order. The people who advance are not always the most competent. They are the people who are highly visible in the minds of those who decide. That visibility is not accidental. It is built by people who understand that visible work is only one part of the game. If you want to keep understanding how that system works from the inside, before it makes decisions for you, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. What we publish here is not in human resources manuals. It comes from direct observation of what actually happens. Now comes the second lie: that corporate politics is dirty and that refusing to play it protects your integrity. That position sounds ethical. In practice, it is resignation. The game does not stop because you decide not to participate. It continues. And when you do not participate, you do not become neutral. You become a piece that other people move. The person who stays on the sidelines is not above the system. They are inside it, without a map and without protection. It is not that the company does not see your value. It is that it does not need your value somewhere else. Corporate politics is the mechanism through which people build and use influence inside an organization. Some do it in toxic ways. But that is only one way to play, and paradoxically, one of the weakest. Power built on fear lasts only as long as the fear lasts. Real power is built differently. And to build it, you first need to see something most people ignore. There is a professional profile that appears in almost every company. Everyone knows them. Everyone knows what they produce. When there is a difficult problem, they are the first person people call. When there is an opening, nobody mentions them. The company calls them reliable. In practice, that means they are too useful to promote. Being reliable does not always make you promotable. Sometimes it only makes you convenient to exploit. The more efficient you are at solving things quietly, the harder it becomes for the system to justify moving you. It needs you exactly where you are. Moving you would create a cost. Keeping you there benefits everyone. Except you. Doing good work and making that work visible to the right people are two separate actions. Both are necessary. The second is not flattery. It is a professional responsibility that people who advance practice deliberately. Every company has two organizational charts, the official one and the real one. There are people with important titles who, in practice, execute what other people decide. And there are people without visible titles who, with one conversation, determine who gets in and who stays out. The decision about a promotion is often made before the internal process even opens. The person who discovers that later was using the wrong map in a territory they did not understand. Some people decide without titles, and some people with titles decide nothing. Reading the real organizational chart is not dirty politics. It is understanding how the organization you work in actually functions. Companies call many decisions merit. In reality, they are convenience. Knowing the difference is what allows you to stop being surprised by it. Your reputation inside a company is a narrative, and that narrative has an author. If you are not building it, someone else is. That narrative decides which version of you feels credible. If it is positive, your mistakes are treated as exceptions. If it is ambiguous, your achievements are treated as luck, or as teamwork you were part of but did not lead. Think about the meeting where someone repeated your idea with a different voice and got the credit. The vague feedback that sounds like, "You are excellent, but we still do not see you as ready." The manager who praises you in private and leaves your name out in public. All of that is part of a narrative about you that is already active. The question is, who is writing it? Once someone forms an impression of you, they filter evidence to confirm it. Not necessarily with bad intentions, automatically. That is why negative narratives are so hard to reverse, and why positive ones, when built early, become a shield. If you only do your job well, the system uses you. If you also control the narrative, the system repositions you. That is not manipulation, it is defense. Not doing it leaves you exposed. There is a pattern that repeats in corporate environments. Someone with real technical skill and real results ends up in conflict with someone who operates in a toxic way. And they lose. Not because the other person is more capable. They lose because they react. People who operate in toxic ways understand something intuitively that more ethical people take longer to understand. An emotional reaction, especially a defensive one, signals vulnerability. And vulnerability inside a power system can be exploited. Intelligent people are especially vulnerable to this mechanism. They have a strong need to be understood, for logic to prevail, for injustice to be named. That need is real, but in a system that does not operate on logic or justice, that need can become leverage. The toxic person does not need to win the argument. They only need to keep you arguing while they move forward. Reacting is not defending your position, it is handing it over. Emotional regulation is the ability to decide when to respond and with what intensity, without letting that decision be hijacked by what someone else did or said. It is the difference between acting and reacting. And in a corporate environment, that difference can define an entire career. The last distinction you need to see is this: the difference between being useful and being irreplaceable. A useful person solves problems. An irreplaceable person defines which problems matter. Stop solving everything in silence. Start naming problems before they become crises. Position yourself not as the person who fixes everything, but as the person who sees what others have not seen yet. That is what creates real authority, not the volume of work you produce, but your ability to name what is actually at stake before other people do. That is the difference between being the resource the system consumes and becoming the perspective the system needs. There is no neutral position inside a power system. Choosing not to engage with corporate politics is not leaving the game. It is handing your move to the next player. The question was never whether you were going to play. The question is whether you are going to play with your eyes open or closed, whether you are going to build your visibility or wait for someone to notice it on their own, whether you are going to read the real organizational chart or keep operating with the wrong map, whether you are going to shape your professional reputation or let other people define it for you. Understanding this does not make you cynical. It makes you clear. And in an environment that runs on unwritten rules, clarity is not a luxury. It is the only thing that truly protects you. After seeing this, you can no longer say you did not know how it works. Tell me in the comments which of these dynamics you recognized inside your company. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, because this is what we do here. Translate the invisible rules of the corporate world into something you can see, understand, and use in your favor. Without naivety, without cynicism, only clarity.